What is up, Misfits and Moonbasers? It's your boy Ray Recall coming at you with another video review, and today we're going to be taking a first look at the theme for this month, which is going to be Shockwave, in case anybody couldn't figure that out from the last few videos. Anyway, so we're going to be taking a look at just the Shockwaves that I was able to get my hands on. I have a ton of them, but as of right now, most of my collection is in the storage unit, but I will be taking a look at, a few current up-to-date figures, as well as one or two third-party. I'm going to try to at least do one or two third-party figures, and just some other stuff from, just some Shockwaves that I've had around. So anyway, without further ado, let's get this week or month started off with something a little bit new to the channel. We're going to be taking a look at a Cyberverse figure. It's going to be Transformers Cyberverse, Battle Class, Spark Armor, Shockwave, and Solar Shot. Yeah, we're going to be looking at Cyberverse figures today. I forgot to get that closer. So yeah, that's basically. I have seen some episodes of Cyberverse. I haven't really seen anything with Shockwave in it though, so I'm not really sure how this works in terms of in terms of story or whatever. Also, this is going to be the only Shockwave from Cyberverse that I get as of the time of this recording. I'm not really too big of a fan on the design, at least for the main figure, the way that it transforms. All the Shockwaves that I've seen in Cyberverse transform into this kind of crawler tank, which is it isn't bad, don't get me wrong, but I mean, if anything, it reminds me of the Walker tanks from the 2004 Transformers video game, the Transformers Armada one. Oh man, I love that game. I need to start playing it again. But I'm not really sure. I mean, I've seen the deluxe class version of it. That one looks okay, but all the rest of them just look too gimmick heavy. It looks like they transform bad. They have bad articulation. So I mean, I saw this and it looked fairly decent construction, articulation, all that stuff like that, at least from what I could see whenever I saw it in the package. So, and plus it came with a little armor up gimmick, which was pretty neat. Hang on one moment, see if I can get, there we go. That doesn't auto adjust, unfortunately. But yeah, it came with some accessories in the pack. So I'm like, you know what? The way I rationalize it was, it's basically a Legends class figure plus extra, kind of the way that the Siege Leader class figures are basically Voyagers plus extra, that you can make them up to be a slightly bigger figure. It costs very close to the same amount as a deluxe class figure, though, so that's one caveat that I have about the Spark Armor line, at least for the Battle class figures. I know they have like a Cheetor and a Bumblebee one that are a little bit bigger, but I don't have enough attachment to those characters, and the Armor Up version doesn't look nearly as good, so I'm just gonna hold off on that until, unless I have just disposable income to spend on it. So anyway, without further ado, here he is. Let's go ahead and get the Solar Shot off to the side for now. Here is Shockwave in his alt mode. It's a little crab walker tank, which is pretty nice. I mean, we've never seen Shockwave as a crawler before, I don't think. I mean, we've seen him as a tank with Energon Shock Blast, Dark of the Moon, they had him be a tank. He's been obviously a gun, but I've never seen him as a walker tank before, which is all well and good, if not a little bit lazy with the design. I mean, you can clearly tell how this transforms just by looking at it. Now, some of the bigger figures are pretty interesting because this arm is not the actual robot mode arm, and like the turret is the robot mode arm. There's some flipping around and stuff like that, which is pretty nice if it didn't sacrifice articulation and gimmick heaviness for it. Like I said, the deluxe version of this might be better, but this is what I got for now. So, and as you can see, he is practically legend scale. Feels about the same amount of weight. The joints on this are very nice. He has a few ball joints in here, especially at the back, but you can shake him around and he's not going anywhere. So that's pretty nice. Articulation, of course, you know, these can rotate up and down, go in and out. Rotation, hinge, ball joints, rotation, hinge. We'll get more into the articulation when we get to robot mode, because it's literally the exact same as in robot mode. But yeah, there you have that. And let's see here. And for comparison, here he is with the Siege Leader Class Shockwave. Get that brightness up there. There we go. And you'll see his review at the end of the month. But yeah, as you can see, quite a big difference in size. So there we have that. So this is pretty nice. There's no integration with the solar shot in this mode, but we'll get into what that can do later. So let's go ahead and get this guy transformed. So to transform him, it's very bare bones basic. You just want to straighten out the legs, rotate at the thigh swivel. They have him mostly done. You want to take this gun, unplug it there, and then take this cable and unplug it, put it off to the side. Parts forming, I know, but just deal with it. Take this panel, flip it down, take his chest and flip it into position. Come back here, lift the head up, and then close this panel and it will tab in, like so. That, straighten the arms, rotate them around and drop them down. Straighten the arms, rotate them around, drop them down. And there you pretty much have Shockwave in his robot mode. Now the first thing that some people are going to be saying is why does he have hands? Which is a little bit interesting, especially considering how you know, Shockwave is known for having a gun there. Like I said, in some other figures, this isn't even an arm. It actually like transforms into the backpack, and the backpack transforms out into the gun arm. But honestly, if I got nitpicky over every little detail that was different about this from G1, then, you know, I would just be one of those people that say G1 or nothing. I just taking the way that I rationalize it is this is its own character in its own universe. It's not G1 accurate, and it doesn't need to be. It just needs to capture the spirit of the character, which, if you take the gun, which if we'll take a quick look here, take the gun. It is a pretty decent looking gun. Pretty simple, single piece of molded plastic, but it does have some paint apps on it at least. And then you just take that, plug it in, and it works on both sides, so if you're a G1er or if you're more of a movie fan, either way. And then you take the hose, which is a piece of flexible plastic that I don't know how well it comes off on camera, but there are actual segments to it, but it is all one solid piece. And you just take one end, plug it in up top, and then take the other end of the hose, plug it in the back, and there you have Shockwave in his full robot mode, and that looks pretty decent in my opinion. It's I'm okay with this look. I'm okay with this look. Let's see here. Getting close on the head sculpt. Head sculpt is one of the probably one of the big things that have been putting people off about this figure. Is the fact that, you know, he's got the it's not just the mono eye kind of thing going on. He's got like a angry face, which is weird considering how he basically doesn't have a face at all. But yeah, and especially like in some of the larger figures, that actually looks like a second eye or whatever. Here's an example. I actually have the box. Yeah, kind of like that. So some people are okay with that. Some people aren't. Honestly, it's really underplayed in this figure, so I can deal with it. Yeah, and then articulation-wise, you know, he has obviously the exact same articulation as he had in alt mode. So you have rotation here, arms go in and out, 90-degree elbow bend, rotation, nothing at the waist, legs can go forward that far, back all the way, almost a full kick, oh, and then that happens. Thigh rotation, very, very deep knee bend, sculpted ankles, and then no head rotation at all. That's just one hollow piece. Just like so. And as for some size comparisons, here he is again with Legends Bumblebee. Remember, Bumblebee was a bit small for a Legends class figure, so, but I mean, they have basically the same heft, so. And then Leader Shockwave, who again in his unarmored form is basically Voyager scale, like that. So there you have that. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to point out is that at the end of his gun, there's a little let's see if I can get that. The tip of his gun is actually 3mm peg, which is actually compatible with Siege and Earthrise blast effects. Which in my opinion, that's actually a pretty cool little bit of cross compatibility. And then the same thing with Solar Shot at the very end of the weapon. There's that blast effect, so you have that, which I actually do appreciate. But speaking of Solar Shot, let's go ahead and bring that in now. This is the Solar Shot something or other. I don't know what it's supposed to represent or what the significance of it is, but it's just basically a little satellite looking thing. The neon pink stuff is the same soft plastic as the hose. And as you can see, when you get it out of, or when I got mine out of package, this particular solar fin was a little bit warped. I'm sure there are ways to fix that, but honestly, I never have it displayed like this, so. Que sera. And it's fairly decently detailed. It's got a bunch of vent detailing here and there. A lot of little grooves and lines in there. A bunch of little buttons and looking stuff back here. Thrusters have, I don't know how well it comes off on camera, but they have little ridges inside the actual thrusters. Yeah. And no articulation for this. Now, you can just take this as is because there is that 5mm post. Plug it into his hand, and he can hold it like a gun. And this should say something for the tolerance of his joints, because this thing is weighs as much as he does, and no ratchet joints, but his knees, his hinge joints in his knees, his ball joints in his waist, and his elbow joint aren't dragging him down. So he can hold a pose with this thing. That is something I'm very impressed with about this figure, is the joint tolerances, because they don't seem like they're too tight or anything like that, but it can still hold a pose. That impresses me. So yeah, you can put that off to the side. Also, forgot to mention, he's got 5mm ports all over, not so much there, all over his body, even two up here. So he's technically Siege compatible in that regard, but at that point you're just using him as an accessory for like COG or something like that. So now this does have one other function. Oh, almost forgot. Size comparison. Here's Solar Shot with Shockwave's aerial drone unit. Let me see if I can get the lighting better on that side. Yeah. And that comes with the Siege Leader Shockwave. And yeah, no contest there. But there is one more thing that you can do with this, and that involves a little bit of parts forming. Now what you want to do to get Shockwave started is take this gun off, unplug these, set them off to the sides. Yes, it's part forming, just deal with it. And then you want to take this, and if you notice, there are two 5mm posts right here, two 5mm ports up there. Just take it and drop it down, and it will just tab into place. And there you have Shockwave cosplaying as Lockdown's Gunface. I'm just kidding, that's not all there is to this. You're going to want to take this back module, this solar array, and this dish weapon off. You're going to take this panel right here, and there are two tabs that'll go into two slots down here. That'll tab and lock it in, and then you take this purple piece and just have it hanging off to the back like that. That is his armor. You're going to want to take the solar array, and if you notice, there are these two little hooks right here. When it was in satellite mode, they kind of sat there and kept the solar array from being off kilter. In robot mode, you're going to have these two little nubs right here, and those will tab in and secure the solar array in an X form. So it was like this when it was plugged in here, X when it's plugged into his back. Let's see here. Then you're going to want to take the cable, plug it in to the solar array, like so. And then it's interesting because there's the way that it looks on the package, and then there's the way that it's arranged according to the instructions and on the back of the package. So just to keep things simple, we're going to go with the official instructions method of armoring him up. So you're going to take his gun, plug it back into his hand, like so. Take the boosters from the back of Solar Shot and plug it in to the side of his arm, like so. Take the hose, plug that into the top of the booster unit, and then finally take the satellite array, whatever, 5mm peg, 5mm port, Drop it down. And there you have Shockwave fully upgraded in his Spark armor. And it's adorable. It works for what it is, and I'm not sure if it's because of my bias with my Shockwave bias, or if the other figures in the line just are terrible. But honestly, this is the cleanest version of the Spark armor that I've seen in the line as well. I kind of wanted to get Ratchets, but it just had this huge mess hanging off the back. And there's a little bit of mess hanging off the back here as well, but it's not as bad as some of the other figures. I wish there was another hinge that kind of would allow this to drop down or whatever. Unfortunately, that hinge is for the... it holds together the piece that plugs into Shockwave, unfortunately, and doesn't allow this to just fold flush on the back. That's a missed opportunity, in my opinion. One extra hinge could have made it so much cleaner looking, but I'm not a toy designer, so what do I know? Oh, and if you notice, if I can get the camera to focus in there. There we go. You can see that his face peeks out from the helmet. Another thing is that it's not really a helmet, but more of a mask. That, again, is a piece of engineering that I would have done differently. Especially considering how whenever this closes up, there is, room for a full helmet. Not sure why they did it that way, but they did. Yeah, so there you have that. And for a quick comparison, here he is with Legends Bumblebee. There we are. And with the armored up leader Shockwave. And yeah, there's no competition here. There you go. Now there is one more thing that you can do, and that is to replicate the artwork version of his Spark armor. And the way that I found to do that is you take the boosters, plug it in back here, take the gun, put that off to the side, move this over here, take this gun, peg it in on top, and then take that, move it back to where it was. And now he's got a BFG. Any Doom fans out there? No? Yeah, maybe some. I don't know. Anyway, if anything, it gives him use of his hand, but it is what it is. So, but it is an option, and as they say, options are a good thing. I'll go ahead and get him back into his stock configuration. There you go. Alrighty, and yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this figure. Now, this is only one release of this figure. There is another version of this figure that is out, and that is just the base figure without all the extra Spark armor extras. So basically, you take all the stuff that makes up Solar Shot, put that off to the side. Go ahead and plug this back in, like so. Yeah, there is another version of this figure right here without all the spark armor extras. And what that is he is part of the 3-pack of figures that is the Quintessons. It's got the Quintesson Judge, and then it has this version of Shockwave, and then the Spark Armor version of Prowl without any of his Spark Armor extra stuff, and little Quintesson Mind Control helmets. I'm not sure if I'm going to go in on that, because I do want to go in on the Earthrise Judge figure. So having the Cyberverse Quintesson, not really sure if it's going to be worth it or not, especially, and then, you know, of course, I'll have 2 Shockwaves of this class. So it's kind of it kind of makes a redundancy, because I like the Spark Armor version. I like the Spark Armor version because it's a unique version of the character that is already a unique version of the character, if that makes any sense. So I might go in on it, might not. If I do, I'll review the Quintesson Judge and then have a link to this video if you want details on Little Shockwave. But I think that's about all I have to say, all the time I have for this video. So this has been the Transformers Spark Armor Battle Class Shockwave and Solar Shot. I have been Ray Recall. Y'all have been awesome, and stay tuned for more videos for Shockwave month. They'll be coming out at least once a week, depending on how many figures I'm able to relinquish from the storage unit. Might be more than once a week, but I'll definitely make a figure for once a week. And then also stay tuned for other figures and review videos that I'll be posting throughout the month as well. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.